Today's Mother's Day, and Mother's Day is hard for a lot of people who may have lost their mom. So I do have my best friend Pravita there joining me tonight, and I just want to check on everybody and see how everyone's doing. You know, some well, for a few people, this is like maybe their first or second um, holiday, Mother's Day without their mom. So it's important to check on your strong people because they're not always strong. Um, they shouldn't always have to be. Um, I don't know why I'm echoing, but I am nonetheless. I'm gonna do my best and press through. Um, again, I tonight have my best friend Pravita joining me. So Pravita, if you're there, I can hear you.
I'm using my phone again today because I have no idea what's going on with the audio on my laptop. It's been doing its own thing, so it is what it is. But I am here nonetheless.
And I'm grateful for you showing up tonight. Um, I'm echoing. I don't know why, but um,
Listen, it's okay.
I'm gonna let it what it do and get straight to the point. So my first question is, how are you?
I'm okay. Better than I was yesterday. Yesterday was overly emotional. Today I'm okay. You know, it is my second Mother's Day without my mom, but it was difficult yesterday. I will say that, but I'm better today.
I can imagine it, that it was.
Yeah,
Um, it was a lot for me. Um, as
yeah.
everybody some may not know, I'm a doctor, so I
Mm,
have my mom here. Um, but the lady gave birth, gave birth to me. My bad. Um, she passed away in 2014. So
mhm.
um, the connection that I have with her is not really like one of somebody who finds biological parent. So when she passed, a piece of me passed too. And so,
Yeah,
Mother's Day, her birthday, the day of her death, all of that is hard for me. Like
yeah,
it's been 11 years now, and I still remember it like it happened yesterday. Like I could
Yeah, it's a wound that doesn't heal, and it's a moment by moment adjustment that we have to make. You know, the old cliche saying is time heals all wounds, but losing a parent, that's a wound that never gets healed. You know,
Right.
as I said yesterday, it's one of those things where you learn to adjust daily, you know, and moment by moment, because you can be having a great day and something will remind you of something that you two did together, or you know, a memory comes up, a song will come up. It's just, it's a moment by moment adjustment, and it's grief is one of those things that you can try to run from it all you want to, but it will wait for you. It will definitely wait for you. And if you're not um fully aware of that, you can work, you can drown your sorrows and drugs and alcohol, you can work all the time to keep your mind and body, you know, busy. However, there is going to be a moment when that doesn't do it justice. You're going to have to feel every bit of the emotion that comes with that. And I'm still learning how to sit with those emotions. And like I said yesterday, I didn't anticipate, you know, having that, you know, much of emotion, but I knew it was going to come, um, because it's my mama not here. So, and just talking about that, and that was a conversation, that Dr. Carolyn and I were gonna talk about, you know, in celebration of mom and motherhood, and you know, the sense of, you know, how those relationships between mothers and daughters, you know, develop us into the women that we are.
Right.
And growth and giving yourself grace, and you know, and understanding that mental health comes with that. It takes a toll on you mentally, physically, and it's a process. It's a learning on the job training when it comes to motherhood. It's always an adjustment. It's always something that you're going to learn something new,
Right.
and entering in the world of being a grandparent now, that's a little different, but it is what it is. But losing a parent is never an easy thing, but the mom is the one that brings you into this world. Without her, you would not be here. You have to, you know, give credit to that individual, whether that relationship is good or not.
And that's my whole point. Like, people feel like because she played me for a guy that I'm supposed to just be like, uh, no. But if she had done what she thought was best for me, I may not. So,
Mhm.
you know, she took that and did with what she needed to do. Um, was easy on me? No, absolutely not.
Mhm.
Did I grow up in love? No. Um, not necessarily hearing I love you, um, or getting hugs and that. Um, well, from my mom, she's not, and you know, like Beyonce, okay.
Mhm.
But you know, all jokes aside, she did what she could for me. Um, but it still didn't take away the pain of not knowing. And so when
Yeah.
my biological mother, in 2010, I asked hard questions because I thought we had time. And
Yeah.
um, when she got sick like all it happened so fast. Like nobody
Mhm.
found prepared for it. Um, my brother said that he stayed with it years ago. Because she had been in that position before, and so
Mhm.
um,
LATONYA, your audio is terrible. You're going in and out, and it's really terrible. Like we can hardly hear any words that you're saying.
okay,
You might want to go out and come back in and let Charita hold conversation until you come back.
oh,
Well, hey everybody. It is important to check on your strong friends when these holidays and things come around. Simply because your strong friends are usually the ones that are carrying a lot to make sure that everybody else is okay. Okay, there we go. Um, but you want to make sure that you're checking on those. And I know for myself, I am considered that strong person that everybody tends to turn to in the midst of anything. I realized that when I was in the hospital dealing with my stroke, that no one was used to seeing me in that position. And they wanted me to, get myself together and get out of the hospital. Well, it wasn't something that I could rush to do. However, they didn't know how to receive the fact that I was now the weaker version of myself. And even still, I still had to be strong for them because they didn't know how to handle it. So yesterday was tough. Um, but I managed to make it through God's grace and his mercy. Sharing that most vulnerable side with you guys yesterday, my tears, um, that was an emotional day, processing everything and then talking about writing and finishing up the book and how everything that is connected to that book is connected to her life and her death and the celebration of how old she'll be turning this year. So that was a test, but God brought me through it and I'm grateful for that. But remember to check on your strong friends because they can't always carry it by themselves. Even though sometimes we think that we are invincible, as my son says, I think I am superwoman. I don't necessarily think that, but I just know things got to get done. And so if I don't do them, they're not going to get done. And he still tells me it'll get done, just not in the time or the manner in which I think it should be done, but it gets done eventually. Um,
I just
let's
want
see.
can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Am I still echoing?
It's not as bad as it was before.
Okay. I don't know what's going on my
It
end.
wasn't really echoing. It was basically like you were going in and out.
Okay.
Like it was a skipping, like you know how a CD skips when you're trying to listen to it. It's got a couple scratches on it.
Right.
That's what it was sounding like.
So I sounded like the remix.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's what it was doing.
But okay. So this is gonna be short and sweet. Um, because I don't know what's going on with technical difficulties on my however.
Is it raining where you are?
Yes, man, God has
Okay.
opened the flood. Yeah,
That's probably what it is.
it
It finally stopped here, so it's not raining right now, but it was earlier.
we're on day 5 of nothing but rain.
Okay.
Um,
Okay.
don't foresee it stopping anytime soon. So, but it is what it is. But I was thankful for um, if you call yourself somebody's friend, sister, cousin, what have if they going through a mourning state, check on them. I mean, a lot of people deal with depression in different ways. They laugh and go on about life as usual, but on the inside, scream for help. And
Mhm.
holidays hurt the worst. Um, I watched your show last night, and
Mhm.
it was important for me to tell you how well I felt like you did. Although the topic was heavy, and
Yeah.
I knew what it was gonna do to you. But as your friend, it was on me to make sure you were good after
Mhm.
after you released all of that because it's heavy.
Yeah, and that's what Nathan said. I told him, I felt like, which after I talked to you also, and I told you that I felt like I was doing a lot of rambling. And he was like, I don't necessarily think that you were rambling. Everything that you talked about was connected to the subject of motherhood and how everything, connected. It had a story. He said, yeah, you may have went off on a little spin to where you told a story, but even still that story was connected to motherhood in the sense of everything that was going on. And it was going to be a heavy topic. It was going to be a heavy thing for you to carry, but you managed to do it. And I was like, you didn't even watch the show. You didn't even hear it. He was like, but I know my mama. And I know what my mama's capable of. So I know that she pulled it together. And I was like, I guess, I haven't gone back and listened to it or anything like that. But I know the emotions that I was dealing with from the day itself. Because I woke up yesterday to all of the, texts, happy Mother's Day, I love you, from everybody. And then I'm just in the bed and I'm like, okay, thank you, but my mama ain't here. So I can't call her and tell her happy Mother's Day. But then the thing of that brought me some joy and laughter in the sense was, Mother's Day had always been celebrated usually on the third Sunday.
Mhm.
And so the last Mother's Day that I spent with my mom, she was adamant that she was not celebrating it on the second Sunday. She was celebrating it on the third Sunday. And so when I went to see her and I was telling her Happy Mother's Day, she was like, it is not Mother's Day. It is next Sunday. So don't tell me until next Sunday. And I'm like, Mom, today the calendar states that it is
Right.
Mother's Day today. She's like, I don't give a damn what that calendar says. It is not Mother's Day. It has always been celebrated on the third Sunday. And so you can tell me next week. Yes,
That
ma'am. I'm
mommy
not
going
about to
around
argue.
turning stuff around. She ain't asked them to swap.
And so I'm like, okay, I'm not finna argue with you. I'll definitely be back to tell you next Sunday that is the Happy Mother's Day. She was like, okay. But that brought me some peace and some joy, just having that memory and just being in the space of loving her and her being able to feel and witness that and the healingness that it brought to our relationship. One thing that I can say about my mom is that she never made any apologies for who she was. She stood firm on exactly who she was, and either you loved her or you hated her. And either way, it was your choice to decide because she was going to be who she was going to be. And I think that is basically who I am as well. Either you like me or you hate me, but at the end of the day, I can't make you like me. I can't make you love me. That's a personal choice.
Right.
And I'm going to be who I am because I'm the person that has to live with me. I'm the person that has to wake up to me and go to bed to me every day. Now, the person that I once was as a young kid, yeah, I probably was quick to, pop off. Now I'm a little cautious, a little more on, not just going straight for, whatever. I'm a little more reserved
Your
than I
face
once
still
was.
your face still goes for the jugular though.
Yeah, my face hasn't learned how to censor herself.
Right.
She she has a whole nother personality outside of me, and I don't know how to get her to tame herself because she don't listen to me at all, and I try. And she's like, you know what, I'm still gonna show up when I want to show up. Somebody says something stupid, and my coworkers are constantly telling me, "Fix your face," and I'm like, "Well, I didn't know it was doing something. I have no idea what's happening here. And they're like, "Yeah, fix your face," or either they like, "Okay, now look, don't say nothing." And so I'm like, okay, y'all, I'm working on it. I just don't know how.
But those of
But
us that know you and know your heart, it doesn't take away from who you are. You know,
yeah.
you're loved, and like again yesterday, watching your show and seeing you go through those emotions. I'm sitting on the other end, like, come on, B, pull it together. Come on. And I'm typing in the thing, I see you, I got you, we got this. And it's just things like that is important. Just know somebody understands. Um,
Yeah.
doesn't necessarily have to have a solution for your situation, but somebody
Hmm.
that cares and understands. Um,
But I also realized yesterday that it was a necessary moment because people are always, most people who know me know the stronger side of me. They don't get to see the tears. They
right,
don't get to see the softness that I actually do possess. So that vulnerability was something that somebody else needed to see, not just for myself,
right.
but it was for someone else as well. And I'm grateful that God used me to be able to do that yesterday. Now, I'm glad I didn't really break down and do the ugly cry, but it was close. I will say that.
I
Because
saw
um,
saw it brewing.
yeah, it was coming close, and I had to say, God, look here, help me to keep this together because I still gotta talk. I still gotta, you know, deliver what it is that I need to do today. We did have those technical difficulties yesterday, but I also feel like it was necessary because he was pushing me out of a space of comfort and allowing me to let myself be open and vulnerable. I'll share my story with anybody who's willing to listen. You know, I don't care about that part, but actually, the tears, that's one thing that I really am not big on sharing. That, you know, never have been. My kids, the first time that they really and truly saw me cry was when I was going through the transition with my mom.
Right,
Because for their whole life, they had never seen that. Even during my stroke, during the major flare up in 2013, even being in excruciating pain. I will say the only other time outside of my mom's transition was when I had that doggone kidney stone. That is the only other time in my children's lives that they have seen me, cry. Outside of that, they don't know what that looks like for me. And, I feel like, and I've apologized to my kids for that because that was something that they needed to see their mom experience and show that side of emotion and not always being strong. And Nathan is my child who told me when I was going through with mom, I came home from visiting her and he was like, it's okay to release that. It's okay to let that go. But I also realized during that time as well that my mom is the reason why um, I have been unable to show emotions like that because she didn't even know how. She didn't know how to release the pain that she was feeling, but that's based on the conditions in which she was raised.
right,
You know, being put in a position to where if you talked about your feelings and said that something did not feel right or if you were hit you were not allowed to cry. It's always they whoop you but then they don't want you to cry but from the pain, so you got to be quiet, so you cry to yourself. So she developed, no matter how hard she was hit, even in the physical, she still didn't release that emotion because she didn't know how. And with the pain that she was in, my mom still did not really shed very many tears during that time.
right.
And that's crazy, but she really did not cry.
She was she was tough. Um,
Yeah,
even when we you can't get me for child baby
the
shower,
sip and see. Yeah.
the sympathy. Had I not known, just from you telling me what was going on with your mom, I would have never known anything because did not let alone that anything going
No.
on. She did tell me she don't understand how many we're still friends after all these years because of your mouth. But
Mhm.
um, nevertheless, she I I think that God allowed you and her to have that moment because it
Yeah.
was a moment that you needed. You may not
Yeah.
realize that you needed. That's why I'm telling you, when we had the conversation of why nobody else is here, and I'm not every child, so they here too. I told you,
Yeah.
God did that for a reason. There was a reason.
Yeah, and I agree with that. I completely agree with that for the simple fact of I don't think anybody else would have been able to handle it either. You
Right,
know, because when mom passed, I was literally there besides the nurses or whatever because they had came in to change her give her a bath and change her bed linen and to change her bandages so that they didn't do a lot of manipulation and things to make her uncomfortable.
right,
But my aunt had been there and she had left, I want to say that Tuesday, um and she wanted to be there. She was coming back on Friday. Mom passed on Thursday. But I think that she just wanted that time for us,
right,
because even still, like, she started to take the downward spiral May the 23rd. And when I got there to the facility that day, I honestly did not think she was going to make it through the night. However, God provided this woman with some strength that
only He
I
could
don't know.
provide.
Right, because when I tell you my brother and sister made it down, my aunt and my uncle made it down to see her, and then both my aunts, and then not my aunt Dee Dee, she came down that night, but before I got there about 11:30, 12 o'clock or whatever. When I tell you this woman mustered up the strength that God gave her so that we could go outside. And I'll post a picture after this podcast and show you. Or either I'll send them to you. But the strength that this woman had in this picture from the moment I walked into that room to us getting outside and everything, it's like night and day. And I'm like, okay, yeah, and so anytime anybody would come and visit her or whatever, she would exude strength and everything. But the instant it was just her and I alone, she would become this infant, this baby. And it was like she only allowed me to see her like that. Everyone else, she showed the strength, and I understand that, because very many people don't get to see that version of myself.
Right,
So
right,
I get it from my mama. I literally get it from my mama. And I know that to be true because I witnessed it firsthand.
right. Well, me, losing my mom in the way, in the manner I did. First of all, I did not know that I is the beautiful place they send you to die peacefully. I
Mhm.
I thought it was something where they provide better doctors than the hospital had. Um,
Mhm.
so I noticed that they wasn't feeding her, and so um, like through an eye anything, I I knew that they wasn't giving her, anything. So I was asked why you know
Mhm.
it wasn't feeding her, and you know the chapter, a lot, she's at the end of life. Um,
Yeah.
she's not. She's probably not gonna make it. Not.
My mama, she wasn't worried about eating. She just wanted some water.
Right. I remember her saying she wanted some more.
She was just fussing at me because she was like, "You not giving me no water." I said, "Ma'am, that is not the case. I am trying not to choke you. You cannot drink through the straw anymore,
Right.
and I can't just give it to you out of the cup. You can't have it that way, so we're using the sponges, and I'm giving you them as I can because I'm not about to choke you. I'm just not about to do that.
Right.
You ain't giving me no damn water, ma'am. I am. I'm giving you the water as you can take it. You know, I'm not gonna drown you, and I'm not gonna let you drown yourself. So you gonna get this water as I see fit, but you're getting it as I can." And she looked at me and rolled her eyes. "Okay, ma'am, it's all right. I understand."
I think
But
how um going through this is actually having my mom's car.
mhm,
Just being able to sit in the car where I'm at right now and it
mhm,
feel like I feel her here. Um
yeah.
and God in heaven knows that I am not the greatest driver. And so this 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 car took a licking and kept on ticking. Cause I yeah, sister can't drive.
Listen, I know my child can't drive either, so it's
Look,
one and the same.
and she
Kai
does better
always
than I
says that
do.
something. No, no, she really don't. Kai says stuff jumps out and hits her. It's not that
She's
she hits
right.
it.
She's right.
She no, she is absolutely
Why
wrong.
why why is it that that stump that's in your yard always winds up under my car? Why?
But because you think that you are in the right place and you're not. I don't know why you turn before you get to the actual driveway. You be in the yard, and that I listen. I don't know, but
That
I
stump
back into the
moves
driveway.
positions and winds up under my car
It,
every time I
no,
come to see you.
it
It
is a
doesn't matter.
stationary. It is. Mm-mm.
It doesn't
It's
matter if
rooted in
it's
the ground.
daytime or nighttime. That that stump moves.
It does not. It is rooted in the ground. You just can't see, and I don't know what it is, but mm-mm. But I back into the driveway because it's just better for me. And the only time I can say that I hit that stunt was when I first moved over here, and I did not know the location of the stump. So, but that's been the one and only time that I have hit that stump. I know that it's there, and it's very hard to maneuver where the stump is, and then you got the power pole. And for me to be able to back into my driveway, that says a lot about me because I was not a person to back into spaces. Now I back in at anything now. And
Right.
so,
And
but
and the
yeah.
cars that you drive are always way bigger than what anybody would expect you to drive if they know you. So, seeing you maneuver big people cars, cause you know
Oh yeah.
me, you seen my car, so
Yeah.
and I struggle.
Yeah. Every time I have a car, like especially like I got a Jeep now, and my other SUV that I had, everybody's like, "You drive them big old cars?" Absolutely. My aunt had a Ford F-150, and I drove that like I was driving. My kids were like, "This is not your what did I have? My Toyota." They were like, "This is not a Toyota. This is not your little car. You have to drive this like you got some sense. You whipping this big old thing like it can't flip over."
Right.
Well, listen. And I look like a little kid for real driving these big old cars, but they don't bother me at all. I told y'all in spirit I am 6 feet tall, but in reality I'm only 4'8". But in spirit I'm 6 feet tall, and you can't convince me otherwise.
Until we in Walmart trying to reach something.
Absolutely, Nate. Listen, okay, I was in Nate's little store. I bought one of these, so he came home. He say, Tell me you wasn't climbing on my shelves in my store. I said, what you talk about? He
Mhm.
said, tell me you wasn't climbing. I didn't realize when you brought this up to the counter that you had to, because I put them up high. So you climbing on my shelves in my store. I said, it was up high, but I was able to get it. He talk about, so you climbing on my shelves in my stuff. He talking about, I know it was up high because I put them up there. You didn't call nobody to come and get that. No, I did not. I got it down myself, and I was in Dollar Tree looking for a little cake container, and I couldn't find a step stool. I couldn't find anybody to help me. So what I did was I looked on the little thing behind me. I found something to push it up, and then pull it out to where I could get it down. Look, they don't make things for short people.
They
So
don't.
we have to accommodate to the things that are bigger than us. And so I'm always gonna figure out how I'm gonna get the stuff I need. Cause I'll climb on the counter. I will climb on the shelf, or either if somebody's on the aisle, okay, then I'll politely ask, hey, can you reach that for me? But if it ain't nobody on the aisle and I can't find a step stool or they little ladder that they got laying around, then yeah, I'm just gonna do what I need to do because I need to get my stuff and get out of the store because I'm not big on being in the store too long. So I'm gonna
It,
figure out a way to make it happen.
it's definitely not short person friendly and not
No.
handy person friendly. So when you combine the two, which is moi, it's a struggle. It's a struggle, an unnecessary struggle at that. Like,
Hmm.
like, cut us slack. Can we get an aisle where we can reach stuff?
Nope, not at all. And I'm definitely gonna figure out how to get the stuff that I need. I'm gonna figure it out. And I've learned how to, pull stuff down using other things. I don't carry one of those little gripper things with me though, but I'm gonna utilize what's in the stove to help me to get what I need. You know. Nah, I'm
If
gonna
my
figure it out.
mama is watching this podcast, gonna send me. She gonna send you her cripper thing, but she got she don't use it because she 5'10", so she don't need it. But
Look, I got two step stools in the house. One I have to use to get in my bed. The other one is, listen, I'm finna tell y'all something for real. I have to use to get my clothes out of the washer so that I can put them in the dryer. And um, I didn't realize that I was that short until I almost fell over into the washer trying to get my clothes out to put them in the dryer. And I was here by myself. So I have to use that, and I have a step ladder so that I can reach the other stuff that's up super super high. So my oldest son, when he came to visit, he was like, "Mom, why is there why is the step stool in front of the washer?" I said, "Cause son, I can't get the clothes out to put them in the dryer
right,
once they're washed." So he was like, "Oh, that makes sense. Oh, mom, just if I'm here, just tell me to put the clothes in the dryer for you, so you ain't got to do all that." But when I'm here by myself, it's literally in front of the washer, which it is right now, cause I just did a load of clothes. So yeah.
well, before we end tonight, I would like to ask you um, if you have advice for somebody who may be going through their first um, of many holidays, birthdays, and um, without their loved one. Do you have advice for them?
The advice I would give to them is allow themselves the space to feel the emotions that are going to come with that. Don't deprive yourself from feeling what it is that you're going to feel, because if you try to push it away, it's just going to intensify when you actually deal with it. It's like the capacity, like it's a dam of emotions, and when you try to push them down for so long, eventually they erupt and they go all over the place and you don't know what to do. And people who are there to help, you're not even going to know how to let them in because you're dealing with so many different emotions at the same time. Birthdays, holidays are going to feel like the absolute worst, and you're reliving their life and their passing all over again. So just understand that it is okay for you to feel every single emotion that you're feeling. Don't allow anybody to tell you that you should not, that enough time has passed and you are beyond that. You're not. You're never going to beyond that. You are going to repeat the steps of the grieving process over and over again. You're going to be angry. You're going to be sad. You're going to be happy. You're going to be all of the emotions that come with that. And that is okay. Tell yourself that it is okay. If you need to talk to somebody. And one other thing, I'm going to say this. If somebody is telling you that you need to get over it, enough time has passed, go on, stop talking to them. Go on, leave them where they at,
Right.
because they don't know what you are going through. And some
Right.
people have that mentality. Well, you should be over it by now. Well, you should mind your business and know when to speak when you need to. But right now, you're not speaking in a manner of which is helpful. So
Right.
we gonna end this relationship, friendship, whatever it was, right now, because it's not worth me even carrying on a relationship with you. Because time, when you're lost a loved one who was really important to you, time does not heal that wound.
It does
That
not.
wound is forever going to be there, and you just adjust to it moment by moment. So give yourself the grace and give yourself the space to feel the emotions that are coming with that. If you're angry, be angry. If you're happy, be happy. But sit with the emotion that you feel. And if you feel like it's too much, make sure that you go and talk to somebody that is able to help you. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with that.
Right. I mean, and again, like you were saying, if you got more people that telling you to get over something that they have no clue about, then you
Yep.
evaluate people that you have around you. Sometimes less is more. So,
Mhm.
just having somebody that's willing to listen, you know,
Yeah.
man, um, is everything. But I would like to thank you for coming to hang out with me tonight. Um, I'm sure I'll have you back at some point again this year.
Well, thank you for having me. I'm glad that I was able to be here and, share um my input on what grief looks like.
Right,
At least for me, and I'm sure that there are other people who are experiencing the same thing and didn't know that there were other people that they could actually lean on and reach out to, because most of these situations, we've all been there but never knew that there was someone else who had a similar story and who was willing to be a listening ear or a shoulder to cry on. You're
right.
never alone, but people can't know what you're going through if you never let them know.
Well, I would like to thank everybody for tuning in tonight. I'll be back
You're welcome.
fourth Friday of this month. Um, Again, thank you for tuning in. This has been delayed but not denied, where you may be delayed, but what's meant for you will never be denied to you. Until Friday, we'll see you later.
All right, good night, y'all.
Good night.